golden viewers of gold. It is better to conquer yourself than to win 1,000 battles, because when you conquer yourself, the victory is yours. It cannot be taken away from you, not by angels or demons, heaven or hell. In conquering yourself, the golden team is here to inspire you, to motivate you, to encourage you. You're highly welcome and be greatly inspired. This is gold, and remember, gold is the ultimate.
Today on Gold.
A true champion will fight through anything, says Floyd Mayweather Jr. And of course, to be a champion, you must compete. To be a great champion, you must compete with the best. To be the greatest champion, you must compete with yourself. And if you win, the victory is yours. Do you want to be successful? Do you want to be wealthy? Do you want to find your purpose and do your purpose purposely? Here is the trick of the trade from our champion of the day. Be inspired and be a true champion. Let's go for it. He is an amazing property investor, a speaker, a coach who has been investing in property for more than a decade. Leroy has trained more than 50,000 people and personally coached 100+ students on how to invest in property. His greatest success is that he was able to save himself from drugs abuse. Success as we know it is when you refuse to be a captive of the environment in which you first find yourself. From 15 to 25, he had no clue on how his life would be. What saved him most was relentless prayers and the support of his family. He escaped death on many occasions. His objective now is to use property as a vehicle to create financial freedom for himself and his partners, whilst providing quality and affordable accommodation for humanity. Let's go for gold with our champion.
Hi, my name is Leroy Slava. I'm the co-founder of Property Pick. I'm also a property developer, and welcome to Gold TV. So some of the challenges growing up, I don't know, I think I had a bit of a low self-esteem growing up. I can't tell you exactly why, hey? Maybe it was when my parents got divorced, and then I started hanging out with what I thought at the time was the cool guys, the in crowd. And these guys were drinking, they were smoking. And then at 15, I found myself, started using drugs. 15, started using ecstasy, started going to clubs. And from ecstasy, we moved on to using acid. Then we started using them together. We call that candy flipping. Then used coke. Coke was expensive back then. I think it was like 300, 350 a bag of coke. This was like 12 years ago, over 12 years ago. This is from 15, and I'm 37 now. And started using cat, and my life was going down. I think, then my father passed away at 21. And he left me a bit of money. And you know what money does, eh? It just amplifies. So then I even went deeper into it. Went to rehab for 30 days, and I came out of rehab. And when I went to rehab, when I came out, I was even worse than what I went in, eh? Found myself in drug houses and friends in funny places. And one day I was lying in a drug house, and I was in Leroy Park, and it was cold, it's winter, it's June. I'm lying on a single bed that day, and I'm thinking to myself, is this my life? Is this what my life has become? And that day I made a decision, and I walked out of there. I said, guys, you're not going to see me anymore. But I can't tell you exactly why I did that. And I've never really thought about it to say, why did I go in that direction? I think it's a whole lot of things that made me go in that direction. So that's a short summary of about 10 years of drug use, eh? From 15 to 25. What made me change or helped me to change was family, eh? That my mother and them were praying for me. There was once, it was prayer. They were praying non-stop for, I think because I was so deep into it, they even got closer to God, because before that they weren't as close, but because I was so deep into this thing, they were looking for, and they started going to church, they started praying, and it was prayer and family, so they never wrote me off. They were on my case. My mother, what are you doing? Stop doing this. Phone me, look for me. I used to be away sometimes for 2, 3, 4 days, eh? Once I stayed awake for about 7 days, Wednesday to Wednesday without sleeping. Once I'm standing in front of a Shabin in a Wege Park, and one of the gangsters, they come. Now we knew all these guys. And anyway, he pulls out a gun and he wants to shoot someone else. That person jumps behind me. He shoots, but the gun jams. And gun jams, and I froze. You always think when someone pulls it, you will run. I froze. And pulls the trigger, the gun jams, and that's, if thinking back now, I can see how though that prayer was working. Another time we in a drug house, and these guys come and they rob the house, and we know these guys. And they rob the house, and as he pulls the gun, I catch the gun. And we fighting with it, and anyway, somehow I get loose, I leave it, and I run into the toilet, I lock the door, and they rob that house, and they never go back into that toilet again. So there's a few moments where, and when we were done and I told them the stories, they were like, hey, we were praying for you that night, and that night, and that night. My advice for people that want to get into business is, and write it down. Eh? The Bible says, write it down, make it plain. Write it down what you want to do. Find someone who's doing it successfully, and then just go for it. Start small and take action. Because a lot of people think about things too long. They overthink things, and people are saying, listen, I don't have money, I don't have funding, they just start small with whatever you have, wherever you are, and take action. And then it'll grow and you learn more as you go along. So I got into real estate, it was by luck, by chance. So my father passed away, as I said before, I was 21 years old. He left me a house in Dawn Park, in Boksburg. So it was a suburb, it was becoming like a township. And anyway, so they were divorced, so my mother was staying in another area. So my mother helped me, she said, rent that house out. So I rented that house out. 25, my life changed. And then what I did was, I sold that house because I wanted to buy a townhouse closer to where my mother lives. And the guy I bought the townhouse from bought that house at the sheriff's auction. So he bought it for like 300,000 at the sheriff's auction. He sold it to me for 600,000. Now, slightly upset, I thought, listen, something's wrong with this picture. Why is he buying at 300,000? I'm buying it at 600,000. And once the deal was concluded, the estate agent told me, listen, these guys buy at the sheriff's auction. They buy these distressed properties, and they flip them. Then I went looking for the sheriff's auction. Went there, looked, got some money together. I sold this house again, took that money, and I started buying and selling properties. So that's how I started. And I went from little houses to bigger houses to bigger houses to buildings, and now I own a couple of buildings. It's actually gone to like 120 flats now and shops.
Golden viewers of gold, let us silence the voice that said we cannot do it, that we cannot be successful, because you know, I know we can do it. In fact, we have done it because we're powerful, we're amazing, and we are godly. Let us go for an inspiring break on gold. We are coming back. When we come back, we'll dare to do the undone. We're still on gold. I have said it before and I will say it again, and this is coming from Martin Luther King. Everybody can be great because anybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics in physics to serve. All you need is a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. Please let your heart be golden and help somebody today. It's Golden Heart.
So the organization is called Teach a Man to Fish, and it's called that for a reason. I don't know if you remember the old Chinese proverb, if you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. If you teach him how to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. So we, as a Teach a Man to Fish, work with young people. It's a non-profit organization working with young people and educators in schools, setting up businesses so that they can learn how to run these businesses and hopefully feed them for a lifetime. So since starting in 2006, Teach a Man to Fish have impacted about 500,000 young people around the world, 20,000 teachers, and about 6,000 businesses have started. In South Africa specifically, I think we've worked with 4,500 young people. We have regional offices, so started in England, but regional offices in South Africa, Honduras, and Uganda. And in Honduras, a major achievement is that Teach a Man to Fish programs have been taken on by the government of the country. That means they're working with the ministry, and every single school is going to have this program, Teach a Man to Fish programs, in their schools as part of the curriculum. We're hoping to do that in South Africa, and I'm working and chatting to the Department of Basic Education at the moment. And we also have it in Paraguay on the curriculum. So the one program is called the School Enterprise Challenge, and that's the key program. It started with that program, and it's all about setting up school teams where you have a team that comes up with an idea, they write a business plan, and then they launch the business and hopefully make a profit by selling their products. So it's actually very creative. They have to come up with their own idea and think about what product they actually want to sell. They do market research, so everything is real. They have real people, real products, a real business, and they make a real profit. So it's not simulated business. So you're not learning theory and not putting it into practice. Everything is practical. And during the time of them working through this whole process, they develop skills, problem-solving skills, critical thinking skills, leadership skills, communication, and something that one of the Department of Education people said to me not so long ago, something that this program actually develops is confidence. So we've just got funding from a foundation, a trust, for a amount of money to start a program in South Africa this year coming. So we're recruiting schools, and we'd like to recruit schools from Soweto and other places where they are low resourced and who want to take part in this program. I think one of my favorite quotes is, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And how I apply that in my own life is I'm a good networker, I'm a good communicator, I love meeting people, and I think most of the time where I've got to is because of other people. It's the whole thing about Ubuntu happening in real life. We talk about Ubuntu, but very few people actually practice it. And you start to realize that you can only be in a certain place if other people are there with you. Well, I believe in the laws of the universe. And what you're doing right now is interviewing people that are changing humanity. And by doing that, you are also changing humanity. And I think what you put out in the world, gold I'm talking about, will get back 10 times. You know what I mean? So that's what I wish for gold, that you actually become as successful as you want our organizations to become successful. One of my favorite books, and I read this in Tanzania while I was working there for 6 years, is a book by Viktor Frankl, and it's called Man's Search for Meaning. And all it is, he talks about his experience in the Nazi concentration camp, and he talks about having a purpose in life, believing positively in that purpose, and then almost like visualizing it so much so that you actually achieve it. I think keys to success, one of the major keys to success is follow your passion. Follow your passions. If you start thinking about something at a young age, it's usually not wrong.
Expect more than what you're asking for. Expect things to be better for you. Expect good news all the time, because no matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, you are going to make it. Many people went through what you are going through today, so be inspired by their stories and turn your failures to success. Be inspired.
Du Won Chang. In 1981, Jin Suk and Do Won Don Chang emigrated from South Korea to Los Angeles in pursuit of success and new opportunities. Penniless, without formal education and speaking in broken English, the Changs struggled at first. Golden viewers, the greatest education you can have is the development of your mindset. Before he founded Forever 21, he worked 3 different jobs simultaneously as a gas station clerk, a janitor, and a coffee shop employee. That period lasted for 3 years before he founded the company and opened its first clothing store in 1984. It may take you 3 years or less, but just don't call it quits. Every year, Forever 21 store brings in roughly 4.4 billion in sales from over 600 stores. Start small and expand. Start where you are. Use what you have and do what you can.
What we have done for ourselves alone dies with us, but what we have done for others in the world remains and is immortal. That is my view. Your views are golden too.
My name is Busiso Kumalo. If I've got a possibility, I want to help orphans and widows in my village. Thank you.
Listen to me, golden viewers of gold. If they can make this world a world where negativity sells, we can also make this world a world where positivity will sell more. Let us go for another beautiful break on gold, and when we come back, we'll give you more positive news on gold. The difference between champions and everyone else is that champions are never afraid of losing, but everyone else is afraid of winning. It is not over until I win, says our champion of the day. Remember, our champions can stand their limits to make things happen. Our champion of the day is still here, inspiring souls on gold.
Tricks of the trade. Let me think. So as I said, firstly that got me in was obviously it was my father leaving me out, so thank you to him. Secondly was my mother also not making me sell that house when I was still on drugs, because I would have finished all that money. So yeah, let me give big ups to them. And then there's many people, guys. You know, some people say there's this self-made people, no one is self-made. There was that lady from the, and I'm thinking about it now as I'm talking. There was that lady that referred me to there. There was one guy, Godfrey, at the auction that gave me advice. And then I went on a, but this was me taking chances. I was gambling. I didn't know how to do calculations. I didn't know how to analyze a deal. I knew nothing. Then what happened was I went on a Rich Dad seminar. We got an email, Rich Dad presentation. My sister booked that for us. I went on that presentation, and they were talking about cash flow, about analyzing deals, return on investment, and I didn't know any of these things. I was doing calculations in my head. And then I went on that. I paid about 13,000 rand. I went on a 3-day course. They taught me these things, and I met a guy called Andrew Walker. Now he's of the South African Property Investors Network, and he coached me on how to make this a business and sat with me. And I paid for that. I paid quite a bit for that coaching. I think I paid like 60,000 back then. Because I didn't have these people in my family. No one was into property. No one knew it. There was no one that wanted to teach me. So I had to go out and look for someone and pay for that education. Because some of us don't have these guys in our family that own 100 properties or whatever. And I became part of the Rich Dad team, and I surrounded myself with these property investors, and I became the first speaker and coach for them. And I started traveling all over South Africa, shared the stage with Robert Kiyosaki. When he came, I was on the stage, sharing the story that I'm sharing with you guys now. Exactly the same story. If there's no one to mentor you, go look for someone. If you can't find someone, pay for someone. If you can't pay for someone, you have the internet, you have YouTube, watch these things. Now I think there's no excuses. It's not easy, 4 things. What were my 4 things? Find God, desire, take action, and then you need to be persistent, because now it's going to be tough, right? It's up and down, these things, It's some things work, some things don't work. And surround yourself with successful, positive people. Because if you hang around with, what they say, if you hang around with 4 broke people, you're going to be the 5th. If you hang around with 4 druggies, you're going to be the 5th. So hang around with the right people, positive people, and then, yeah, find yourself, find God, then you're going to find yourself, put a desire, pursue it, take action, surround yourself with the right people. That's 4 or 5. Gave you an extra one. Don't ask them for money. Firstly, then you need to be persistent. There was a friend of mine, she wanted to do water meters and electric meters. Old friend, I haven't seen her for quite a while. So, and she called and she said, listen, I want to do water meters. I said, listen, go out and do a quote at the building. And she said, okay, send me your company details and send me this. But that wasn't my priority at the time. So what had happened, I forgot about it. And then I found out the other day she spoke to old friends and said, no, she's not happy with, I just left her, but I'm busy. She wasn't my priority at that time. It's not that I didn't want to help, it's just that I was busy. Those things, I've got meters in the buildings and things. My things were working. So it wasn't my priority at the time. So you need to be persistent. Go find where they are. If you want to get into property, find us. Where are we? Where do we meet once a month? Pay for it. Don't be stingy on yourself. Pay for it. If you can't pay for it, right, then you need to find someone. And once you found someone, you need to be persistent and annoying. Because if you phone someone that's successful, well, I've got guys, right? Now you think that someone who's starting only looks for people. I look for people as well. I phone people. You get what they say, Leroy, I'm busy now, phone me next week. Next week I phone, they don't answer the phone. Next week I send a WhatsApp, they don't answer the WhatsApp. Then they say, listen, I'm going to the UK now, I'm coming back in this month, phone me again. And then I forget next week. And then I phone. There's one guy, I've been phoning him for 3-4 months now. But I don't feel bad. I know he's busy. I know I am. If I'm persistent enough, I'm going to get to him. You're not going to say no. I'm going to annoy him until he says yes. So be persistent, because you are not that person's main priority. These guys people have families, they have businesses, they've got employees, they've got challenges that they're dealing with, where you are not their main priority at that time. So for you to get their attention, you need to get in front of them, you need to be in their face. I know there were some times where I'll send someone an email, I'll phone, I'll send a WhatsApp and a message. That's usually one of them. If he doesn't reply, I don't feel bad. I'm not emotional about it. He's busy. I'm going to try again next week. And I'm try again next week. And then if I can't, I'm going to phone someone else. But eventually I'm going to get there. So I think persistence, eh? If you're not persistent, if you take a no and you just accept it and you carry on, then you're never going to get there. I like that one where it says, opportunity dances with those who are already on the dance floor. That one is one. I'm not going to act like I'm all original and I saw that on Facebook. This was like 10 years ago. Was Facebook there 10 years ago? Yeah. I saw that on Facebook. It says, opportunity dances with those who are already on the dance floor. So if you want it, you need to start getting busy. Because that's where it needs to find you doing something. While you're sitting and dreaming. Dreaming is good, I also sit and dream, but you need to be active, eh? You need to be on your feet. While you're waiting for opportunity, you're going to wait forever. So, opportunity dances with those who are already on the dance floor. Get busy. What we have is, we've got each other. I think people need people. You can't do this alone, eh? You'll die. If I'm telling you, people need, business is lonely, it's hard. You people need people. So I think we have each other, use the people around you. So Gold, great show, eh? Great show, and I think you need more of these shows on that inspires people. Because people need inspiration. People need to hear stories like this. Like, this story might not inspire everyone, but there'll probably be one person or 2 people or 3 people that'll be inspired by this show and go and do big things. And it gives someone like me the opportunity where where would I be able to do this? Someone simple like me that can come share my story, and it gives me some exposure, but it helps people as well. So this is a great show. There's so much negativity out there that we need to, and I think there's this saying that says, for evil to win is for good men to do nothing. So we as good people need to get in these spaces, put this out, do it, force our way through it so people can also hear these stories, eh?
One of the greatest speakers in the world says, keep talking until somebody listens, keep singing until somebody claps, keep painting until somebody stays. And I'm saying the art of being successful is finding out what is in your destiny to do and then doing it to the best of your ability. And when you do that, you'll find joy, happiness, contentment, fulfillment, and peace of mind that everyone is looking for. By His grace, we will see you next time on Gold. Always go for gold. Go forth and prosper.